So everybody's acting like it's Oda's first time exploring the world before the Void Century. Yes, First World, Second World, Third World, where Nika fought the Serpent and Imu's like origins of his Delph fruit and lost. But Oda has been expanding his world building with Enel. Yes, a villain from the arc where he explored the Void Century and foreshadowed Nika the most, Skypiea. So let's do a deep dive on how Enel's cover story was the first legit mural in One Piece. The cover story starts off with "To the Fairy Verth." Enel technically won as he heads to the moon. He gets his goal achieved even though he got his ass whooped by Luffy. Arrived at the Fairy Verth, which I found funny because it kind of was anticlimactic. Just like extended landmass of Upper Yard on the moon. So I'm like, Enel has been hyping up this land so much. I'm thinking, what's like, the sky people have different values than the blue sea. That's one thing I noticed. A hole with signs of inhabitants, which Enel is very curious about. One thing about Enel, he's established, but he wanted to take Zoro, Robin, Whitebeard, and Gonfall to the moon. And just Nami later. So Enel is definitely one of those characters where he doesn't mind people being around him. Like, he doesn't mind being around people. I think he likes being around people more than being by himself. And we'll find out at the end of this cover story. Someone's in the hole. Enel finds someone in the hole, and it has a gun and a helmet, which to me shows signs of intelligence. Maybe an alien, I'm not too sure, but it definitely shows sign of someone not from the moon, someone that came to the moon. Enel attacks first. Think later. Enel attacks the aliens, which to be honest is not surprising. It's Enel. He has no morals. That's what Skypiea taught us. He just gonna do what he's gonna do. I'm ashamed, but I survived. It looks like the alien was caught sleeping, but he tanked the attack that's hurting everybody except Luffy on Skypiea. So I gotta give respect to respect is due. Obviously there's a reason why he tanked it, but for now I'll give him the respect. Junior Lieutenant Spacey regrets running away from the enemy, as Enel is just confused of these moon people's politics. One thing of Enel, he's gonna invade something that's none of his business, as we saw with the Shandians and the Skypians on Angel Island. Like, Enel does, like, he's gonna be confused about it, but he's still gonna interfere. Former battlefield. We see all the Spacey's men all defeated, and their outfits are similar to him. Like, they have really interesting outfits, like war outfits. And we see a sword as well. It looks to be from the Blue Sea. Like, these are all things that look to be from Earth, if I'm being honest. The One Piece Earth. Approaching shadow. And we see this huge foot behind Enel. I know his monster picked it up, but I think Oda wanted to really hype up the surprise element here. Junior Lieutenant Spacey, defeated by a space pirate. We see him get stabbed pretty badly as Enel just watches, which I found funny. Like, he's just observing, like us as the fans. And Joy Boy was the first pirate. So this dude looks to be some sort of moon pirate or some sort of space pirate. Pirates looks to be everywhere, in the space, in the earth. Cowboy Bebop, merciless space pirate. Enel gets stabbed, but quickly they find, of course, the character finds out that Enel, first of all, the space pirate is not rubber or a hockey user or mantra user. So Enel's Logia coming clutch here as well. Divine judgment towards the insolent one. Enel hits him with a lightning kick while using his staff to balance. So I just thought it was very cool how he did it. And I must admit, Enel was the hero here in this situation, but also Enel's very saucy the way he fights. He fights with swag. He fights like very cool, very nonchalant. I respect Enel's fighting style. Though it might not be efficient, it's very cool. Big explosion. We then see a huge explosion, and if I'm being honest, this cover story is a movie. It should have been animated by Toei. Toei's fumbling hard because this is really entertaining. This is one of the most entertaining cover stories, if I'm being completely honest. My Verth, absolute anger. We see Enel pissed off as his dreamland has been destroyed. Enel is selfish, if I'm being honest. Like, dude, remember the Shandians, what you did? Like, how could you be angry? I don't understand how people get angry, but I don't understand, like, you done worse things. Space pirates, moon remains excavation plan. We see the captain and a bunch of wacky figures digging up in the moon. Pretty much what Enel was doing on Upper Yard. They're really taking over this land. Descent. We then see Enel on the space pirate ship, and man, Oda really was world building the One Piece universe on some Dragon Ball Super stuff, if I'm being honest. Like, after One Piece is over, we could do a Dragon Ball Super universe type of thing if Oda really wants Luffy to continue the story. Flashback. Born that day on Karakuri Island. We see an old man building the space robots. This is Vegapunk's home island, so this could be tied into the main story with Lilith, if I'm being honest, on Elbaf right now. Professor Tsukimi, who likes looking at the moon, makes me think of how we just learned about the full moon and the half moon in the Harley text, and we see his 4 robots who were defeated by the space pirates with him as well. While watching the moon explodes, which is probably the space pirates, but also they saw this without a telescope. Shows how big of an explosion it was, and this was also the catalyst to very unfortunate events for Professor Tsukimi. A break full of tears from Tsukimi as their father dies and they put him in the coffin. Fun fact, only character to die in a cover story was Professor Tsukimi, so I thought that was interesting. Let's go to the moon. They go to the moon with balloons, but isn't there a balloon terminal where Aruj was recovering? Could foreshadow Aruj and Enel somehow being tied in the story, both being from the home island. Aruj was foreshadowing Skypiea, a Sky Knight that was very strong, got defeated by Enel, so honestly, I think that this is cool patterns that Oda's just sprinkling in the cover story. There are times when a man has to do what a man has to do. As 4 robots face the space captain, they're brave, but man, what a mismatch this is. Regrettable, the too strong space pirate. He one-shots them with a weird sword, and he has a cool design, much more cool than his subordinate, if I'm being honest. Enel's judgment, as Enel just destroys their whole operation with lightning. Space pirates at their wits' end, as Enel is just putting in work, like he's just cooking everybody there. Yeah, it shows how strong Enel is. Like, if he was in the Blue Sea, I think Oda said his bounty would be around the same as Ace. Like, he's just a monster. He has Osprey's Naki and he has an OP Loki Adultfruit. Insolence, as Enel picks his ears while low-diffing these space pirates. Yeah, Enel is legit. I want to thank you for avenging our dear doctor. Like, Enel even cares about them. He was just protecting his new home. It's funny how, like, someone could do something and someone else could be so appreciative, even knowing the person doing it didn't really care. Kind of like how Luffy does this a lot of times too as well. And then an attack, as Enel says, "You're welcome," with a lightning blast, which I found hilarious. Enel just likes to attack first and then see everything later. What the space pirates dug up, Enel starts exploring what the space pirates were doing, digging into the moon. What's sleeping in the moon's basement, as Enel is about to explore the unknown of his fairy birth. The underground city that floats in darkness, and I'm starting to notice a trend from City of Golden Skypiea to Fishman Island to where Pluton is located in Wano. This has ties to the first world, in my opinion, when it first got destroyed, and of course the world sinks every time it destroys. Let's attack the town for now. Enel's a true crash out when confused, as he's been doing this entire cover story, and just shows his lightning power as a great answer to everything. Energy surges into an ancient town. The spooky part is the robots that have wings and look like the one the old man made in Karakuri Island, aka Vegapunk's hometown. So I'm thinking this all has to tie into the Blue Sea just from this fact. Recharging complete, the destroyer is thanked. These robots keep thanking Enel for his source of power, and I'm just thinking Enel has to use his lightning for good somehow in the story when it comes to Luffy, helping out Luffy. It's weird to say, but his lightning needs to be used to help rather than destroy like he's been doing. Learning from the wall paintings in the moon, people who lived in ancient times have wings. We can see this painting is from the first world because of the hats and the robots and the wings as well. The hats look like similar to the serpent, and of course the celestial dragon, and just a lot of signs of the first world from these paintings. The city on the moon is also named Burka. Lacking natural resources, they flew to the blue planet, meaning Enel and Aruj are from the moon originally, and probably Skypieans as well. And we see the 3 ancient weapons before even Oda even revealed Oda revealed Poseidon and Skypiea, but revealed like the whole concept of the ancient weapons of like Shirahoshi, Poseidon, Uranus, and Pluton. And we see Mother Flame as well. As I'll be honest here, this is what we call foreshadowing. This mural is what we call foreshadowing and has to be respected. Looking back, he sees a vast landscape and subordinates who swear their loyalty. Enel's new base to start a new plan that aligns with Crocodile, like how Crocodile went on Pluton. I think Enel's gonna go for an ancient weapon, and it's gonna bring him back into this current story. Full tank, stand tall, Enel corpse, as Enel now has an army. Talk about lucky. I think Enel's one of the more lucky characters in the story. More of the story is Oda's been building the foundation to this first world beyond the Void Century, and starting it off with Enel seeing the mural on the moon. So with this recent mural connecting the Void Century to it, it's time for the third world mural to begin. Expect Enel to play a part in the final war because of his knowledge, and see Luffy as Nika from the ancient text that he probably found on the moon and the mural, and respect his words about the Blue Sea being strong, how Enel was talking trash about the Blue Sea. But not until he's humbled by Aruj and Luffy first. I want him back in the Elbaf story, but could be after the Elbaf arc as well, and he could supply the arc maximum to counter Imu's Uranus ancient weapon. So Enel has a lot of useful for the story, and it's him looking at that mural that started it all for me.